What's that, Skip? Shauno's talking about Supercoach again. Let's go. G'day everybody, it's Shauno again, and I'm back with some more Supercoach content. Today we're going to be doing our trade time video where I'm going to go through all the best downgrades and upgrades for you out there in the community. At the end of the video, we'll also have a quick chat about captain and vice captain choices. Now, before we get into it, we have got our little challenge going. We're trying to get up to 300 subscribers before the end of the AFL season. So you can help me out by hitting that subscribe button. And while you're there, you might also like the video and leave me a comment down below. Those things are going to help me out a lot. And I really appreciate the support that I'm getting from out there in the community. So if you hadn't seen my the review video, go back and check that one out. I'll go through my team and tell you how I did. A quick update. So we dropped a lot more places this week. Scored a 1977, and that's dropped our season rank to outside the top 10,000 at 10,180. So trading, like it should be for you guys, is very important for me this week. At this time of year, you really have to be making the right trades, and that's going to carry you through to the end of the season. You don't want to be making mistakes this year, because if you're like me, you probably don't have a lot of money because of the cash gen issues we've had, and you probably don't have a lot of trades. And so this time of year is really important to be making the right decisions. So let's get into it. Now, I've been crunching the numbers for you guys, and you know when we crunch the numbers, I like to play this little clip. Nerd! Yes, Shauno has been a nerd all this morning, and we've been crunching the numbers and checking the team stats, and these are what I've come up with for the best downgrade options. Now, if you wanted to ruck Nicholas Madden, he's played 2 games. He's on the bubble. Negative 89 break even, the most out of anyone. Now, I see one big issue with this, which is that Briggs is due back in 1 week, according to the injury lists. Had a quick look at the injury list before. He's due back in 1 week, so I think you can only count on for sure, if he's named, getting 1 week's worth of cash gen out of him, and then he might be getting a 0. So I'm not too sure if 1 week is enough to go there, but he is that bargain basement price. He potentially could be a playing player this week if you need a playing player. But yeah, I don't think you should really count on him getting more than 1 week's worth of cash gen going for you. Now, Zach Johnson, if you missed him last week, definitely worthwhile picking up this week at 179k. He seems to be doing well. He was a sub in the first round, hasn't been the sub the last 2 rounds. He looks pretty good. I haven't seen anyone in Essendon's team when I looked at the injury list saying that they're going to come back, which I think shouldn't affect his position. So there shouldn't be anyone coming back, so that shouldn't affect his position. He should keep it, and I still think he's a valid pick. Now, we don't really want to go through the mid prices yet, so let's say we're only looking at players at less than 250k. Now, I think there's 3 others which are viable. I'm not saying that I would go there, but Jack Martin, I think it's a very viable option. He's been in the system for a long time. He used to play for Carlton, and I think he's shown before that he can score. He's on the bubble this week. If you needed a forward, I would say this is the man that I'm going if I need a forward as a rookie. At 150k, I think he is very good. I think he's potentially got a chance to get you decent scores. He got a 33 and a 79. So if you average it out around about 50, I think that's pretty reasonable. I think that's probably what you can expect with him, but don't be surprised if he does hit a spike score. How's his job security? I'm not too sure, but he isn't a brand new young 18-year-old kid. He's been in the system for quite some time, so Geelong know what they're going to get out of him. So if they're going to play him, I assume that he's got a good chance of getting a few games. Now, do check the team sheets as usual with all of these. I'm not a Geelong supporter, or in the knowledge Geelong that nobody else is. Maybe he does get dropped for somebody else, but as far as I can see, I think he's probably your best forward option this week. 2 other options. There is still, if he's around, if we can find him, There's still Isaac Keeler is still available from St Kilda. I can't quite see him here. How far down do we have to go to see him? So Isaac Keeler, he's at 200k, and I don't really think he's going to go up much more money. So I'd probably stay away from him. I think you've missed the boat. We should have got him. If we're going to get him, we should have got him before. And he hasn't been scoring that great. He's played 7 games. His last few scores have been okay, but according to the stats, he's not going to go up by too much more money. So probably not one to get into your team. And the other one is this Harry Rouston, or Rouston. Probably Rouston is probably how we pronounce it. We know that Shauno's not great with names. And when Shauno's not great with names, we'll probably give him one of these.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
Yes, me fail English, that's impossible. So we'll call him Rouston, and if you know that that's the correct or incorrect way to pronounce his name, please let me know in the comments down below. Now, he's played 2 games for GWS. He's a midfielder. And so he's got a 3 and a 79. So you assume the 3 was a sub-affected game. 79's pretty good. If he holds his position, maybe that's someone you can go for in your midfield if you need a cheapie there, a downgrade in your midfield. Will he hold his position? I think that's a little bit dubious. Is he taking Cullen Ward's position? I'm not too sure if his job security is that great, but he's definitely the right price, and they've got a good midfield there, so he's got a chance if he plays midfield that he could rack up some decent points as we saw in that last round. So they're all the ones I really think are available this week. Now, there are a few we have to keep our eyes on for future weeks. Now, there's 2 that I like coming up either next week or the week after. So next week, if you need a forward, you got Sam Butler. Now, Sam Butler is at 126k. This is not for this week because they are going to be on their bye this week, but he's got a 55 and a 70. He's also been in the system, just like we were talking about Jack Martin for a while. He's not some 18-year-old rookie kid who, so you assume that if he's getting a game, it's a good thing. He might be able to string a few games together. He might be able to make you some money. So looking forward to him next week. And then, of course, the one everyone is probably going to get. I don't even know. Here he is. The Eagles rookie, Tom McCarthy. He only played 1 game. He's on his bye this week. Then he'll play a game again in round 16, and his money won't go up to round 17. So you don't have to get him this week, even though he smashed out a 133 and looked really good. And as an Eagles supporter, I can't really see him being dropped after that performance. I think he's, unless there's a big change between how he performed last week and in the next couple of weeks, I think he's pretty much cemented his position for the time being. It is Minnie McWalter, though, and we know what he's been doing with rookies. But this guy is not exactly a rookie. I believe he's a 24-year-old, mature, playing in the VFL for Richmond. And so I think he's got a good chance of keeping his spot. And I think he might even be a chance of being an on-field scorer. He seems to have taken the Marek kick-in role. He had 10 kick-ins on the weekend, and he was very clean with his possession. So if you were going to go early on someone to make cash, even though he's his buy, say you were really short of trades, and you want to go early and get the maximum amount of money to get in that affords you to go up to somebody else, I think he is the safest in the way of he's going to play. Even though he's not, you don't need to get him this week, but if it desperately gets you up to the player that you want, I'm pretty sure, unless he gets injured during training, which can always happen, these things happen, but if that doesn't happen, I'm almost sure that he'll get a game after his bye, and he'll probably go on to play future games. If he keeps that Marek role, he might even be a rookie that you can depend on to have on your field. I'm definitely looking at him, but not at this week, just because he's not in my plans and I can get around getting the players I want without getting him this week. So that is the cheapo options. Let me know if I've missed any down in the comments. If you think there's a cash cow or a cheapo option that's available that you're considering, I'd love to hear about it. So now we'll go to, there's a couple of mid-price options. Let's go, maybe if we go to coaches and who they're getting in. So a lot of people are getting in Tom McCarthy. Let's take away the money status, take away the money. Callum Mills is the first cheap option. So a lot of us have been looking at Callum Mills for some time. We know what he can do when he plays as an inside midfielder. I don't think that he's going to go back there. He hasn't for the last couple of seasons. He's been, hasn't been right in there getting heaps of CBAs. In the 2 matches he played so far this year, he hasn't really got a lot of CBAs. He got almost none in the last one. I think he got like 15. One he got 15% and one he got none. But he's playing that back role a little bit more. So maybe he can one of those be, the seagull guy. The guy goes around, grabs a lot of ball and runs up and joins the mids. So even there, I think he can score okay. Is he going to be smashing out his old scores of 100 and to 150? And even at one time, he got 212 or something like that. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I remember that time. I don't think he will go back to those scores. Also, Goulden is a test, I believe, or only a week or two away. So I don't think he's going to play this week, but in a couple of weeks he's going to come in. But maybe that's a good thing. If Goulden goes straight back into the midfield, that's going to leave Callum Mills for that in the back, running around, scooping up the ball and getting lots of points. So on the other cheapo, which some people might be looking at, is Dion Prestia. Now, he's had 2 really good games. Like, he's came out and he smashed a 132 and a 121. Now, my issue with this pick is it's extremely risky. The Callum Mills one is risky as well, but I don't think it's as risky as this one. These 2 scores, the 132 and the 121, are the most he's scored in the last 3 years. So they are his 2 highest scores in the last 3 years. And back in the time when he had a really good run, I think which was 2022, 2023, 22. Back then he had a pretty decent run and got some reasonable scores. Even then, these were big scores for him. So he is a really attractive price at $4.20, and he will be playing in there as a midfielder. So I can understand if you were going to go there. I just probably wouldn't expect these scores every week. I'd say he's more than likely to drop down to be about a 90 average player. That's just my thoughts. I've got nothing to really back that up except for the history of the last year or so. He also seems to be held together with sticky tape. So, he's going to snap in half at any time and then he might be injured. So, and then you're not going to have him in your team. So he is risky. I probably wouldn't be going for him unless you had trades to burn. If you got him in and he doesn't work out, or he gets injured again, then you've got the trades to get him back out again. But he does have a really attractive break even, so of -3. So if he even comes out and gets you a couple of 80s, he will go up in money. So if you've got lots of trades, I certainly can be behind this pick. Keep him for 3 or 4 weeks, let him go up to like 500, 510, 520. Then if he's not the player that you want, jump up to someone else, whether it be a Butters or a real primo midfielder. He could be your avenue to a primo midfielder. The only issue is, do you have the trades to do it? At this time of year, we're running low on trades, and if you're like me and you're in that situation, you really only want to be getting people in your team who you think have a chance of being there at the end of the season. So if you're getting Dion Prestia into your team thinking that he's a keeper to the end of the season, I'm behind that. If you're getting him into thinking he is going to make you some money and then upgrade him if you've got trades to burn, I like that too. But if you're getting him in thinking he's going to be a top 8 midfielder or even a top 12 to 14 midfielder, I don't think that's going to be the case. So it's a risky pick, but I can definitely understand if you're going there. I don't really think there's any other mid prices that we're really looking at. Like, we'll come to Tam Darcy in a second. So no other mid prices. Now let's get to the full-on primos. The full-on primos that are going. So I think we might do it line by line because there's a lot of them. So in defenders, and we're just going to go by summary, I think, instead of who the other coaches are getting in. Whitfield at 5.45. Good value at this price, But I think this is the time you don't really want to be buying anyone in coming off the next two buys. Unless it's a rookie like Tom McCarthy, I think anybody else you buy in as a primo needs to have already played their bye. If you want Whitfield, you wait 2 weeks and then you get him the week after he's had his bye. You don't buy him this week before his bye. So both Whitfielder and Lockie Ash come into that. Max Holmes is killing it. It's probably too expensive now. Also having his bye in round 16. Zorko is an awesome price at 500k. You're probably not going to see him any cheaper than this. Again, though, playing that round 16 bye, he's one that I might let you make an exception for just because of how cheap he is. But definitely for your overall score and your team, I think getting him in now is probably not great just because of the buy situation. But that is an awesome price. So he's been a bit of a roller coaster ride the last few weeks, but for what he can do for that price is awesome. Jake Sinclair being great. He's at 600k now. He's probably a little bit expensive for if you've got heaps of money and you want him. Awesome. But I think like me, most of us are going to be a little bit strapped for cash. So I'm going to be concentrating more on the players around that 550-ish or less. Nazaya Wanganeen Malira, I got him in last week at 500k. He's still under 530 this week at 528, and I think he's very good value. Nick Martin, again, very expensive, but if you can afford him, you can go there, but got that last buy. I would wait a couple of weeks, maybe has a down game. He had this 88, so he's probably got a high break even. You're 152. Pick him up after the buys if you like him. He would have had his buy. You'll be cheaper. That's the time to get him, not now. Connor Rosie, I still think is good value at 134. Had 117 last week. Definitely, if you want to go there, if he's your man, he's got that DPP status, I would definitely say that's okay. Jordan Clark, still just plugging along, getting 100 every week, except for this week where he got 96, but it's close to 100. 454. He doesn't have a super high ceiling. He's only gone one. I think he got a 140 this year. That's his highest score, which is nice, but he's only done it once. So Sheasel, still not playing that back role, but he's done well in the mid, more as a mid the last couple of weeks. So very cheap at 512, but I think it's a little bit risky just on the roll. If he gets pushed forward more, his score might go down more. So I don't know. I think there are better options than Harry Sheasel at the moment until he proves that, he's going to be right there in the guts. Now, I think that's probably, like we said, at this time of year, if you're getting primos, they want to be the best. They want to be the top of their lines. So I think I wouldn't be considering anybody else unless you're going the mid-price of Callum Mills. As for primos, I'd only be considering, the guys not on their buys. So all of these guys have their buys. Nasiah, I think have to be right up there. Connor Rosie would have to be up there, and Jordan Clark for a defender would have to be up there for this week if you're looking at a primo. All right, let's go for the rucks. I don't even really need to click on ruck. I think the only ruck who's at a reasonable price and doable is Tom De Koning. He seems to be back. He's playing well. If you don't have Sherry or Gawn or you can't afford them, then Tom De Koning is maybe a man. Or if you were doing this move where I've heard of a few people who are getting rid of like Gawn and dividing up his money, which I won't be doing, but if you are taking that risk and choosing to do that, Tom De Koning is probably your man that you want to go down to, knowing that he can score those big scores. All right, let's have a look at the midfielders, because I'll leave the forwards to last, because I think that's a really tough decision on the forwards. So midfielders, again, McCluggage on his bye. Brayshaw, 598, is expensive, but I understand if you go there. Jordan Dawson up to 580, not playing this week, so you want to hold off on him. George Hewitt, here's a very interesting pick. I think at 537, he's good value. He's been playing very well. Definitely think he could be a choice for you guys. Tom Liberatore, there's talk of him playing back a little bit, and he got a 97 this week. So I probably wouldn't jump on Tom right at the moment. He's been awesome this year, but with the coach saying he might have a change in role, I'd just take someone else I think is safer. Lockie Neal, round good price at 5.45, but round 16 buy. Wait after that round if you want him. Tom Green, round 16 buy. These guys are all round 16 buy. Here's one that's not. Caleb Sarong, got a 142 this week, just gone. Does that mean he's back? Been averaging smack on, it's 108 this year, which is not bad for 550. He doesn't seem to have had, this is the highest game he's had so year. So he hasn't had that high ceiling this year that he has in the past, but very dependable, and I can understand completely if you're going to go there. Zach Merritt is cheap, playing that role slightly not his right in the guts role, which he has been playing in the past to get his big scores. But at that price, maybe after his buy, it's worthwhile. But again, on his buy, Newcomb, I'll probably stay away from him. Dacos, 535. Can pick him up now. He's played his buy, I believe. And he's already had his buy, right? Collingwood have had their buy. Is that correct? Oh, no, maybe not. Round 14, this is his buy. No, he's had his buy last week. Back this week. So Dacos definitely an option of 535. Good price for him. Some weeks he might give the tag target, but some weeks he's just going to, kill it again. He's not been in the best form, but he's also been tagged pretty hard over the last month or so. So I expect Nick Dacos to come back and give us some big scores. Who else have we got? Crew. Shearer at 550. I don't know if I'd be getting him in at this price, but if you've already got him, great. Noah Anderson, 586, a little bit on the expensive side, but very good, and you'll definitely get what you pay for. Matt Rowell, 540, still, again, he's at a reasonable price. He's less than 550. He's been delivering very nicely the last few weeks since I bought him, which is normally the time players decide to crumble and do terrible. So that's a small miracle. And Talk Miller down to 520, which is pretty good value for him. So any of those Gold Coast guys, I think, are reasonable options if you wanted to go there. I probably wouldn't go Cribsy. He's just been a bit up and down. And here's the only other man I think a lot of people will be considering. Zach Butters. If he didn't go there last week, like I didn't, I chose to fade him. It's kind of the same situation this week. He's got a break even of 90. Even if he gets 100, he's not going to go up by very much. If he gets 150 or something, he will go up by about 25, 30k. So if you want him, this is probably a good week to get him. Had his buy, he's going to play. They showed last week, I believe they tagged him for a quarter, and then they moved that was the week before where they tagged him and then they moved to Rosie. So he might not be the tag every week, but you have to take into account he is a good chance that he is. But he is a brilliant player and he does have a massive ceiling. And if you're going to pay up over 550 for a player this week, he's probably one I'd be seriously considering. All right, so that's the midfielders. Now, what about the forwards? Now, for me personally, I think the forwards are simple but tricky. There's only 3 that I'd really be considering to upgrade to this week. Now, depending on who you already have in your team, Bailey Smith is probably priced out, even though we all want him in. Nick Martin, we said don't pick him up till after the buys. Christian Petrarca has been very up and down. I don't know if I'd be getting him in now. I think if you were going to get him in, you maybe wait for another week and he might even be less. But at this price, he's pretty cheap at this price. So, I think at that price, if you needed a forward and you didn't have one, it's definitely an option and a pretty good option at that price. Liam Baker has actually been very impressive the last few weeks. I think he's got including this, if we call this 98-100, 4 out of the last 5 100s, round 9, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the last 5 rounds, he's got 100, 76, 127, 119, and 98. Now, he does play for the Eagles, which means that there aren't too many Supercoach points to go around. But, he's playing that back role. He's not really playing as a full-on midfielder. He's playing more as a Seagull in the back line. So maybe an option. I just worry about him playing for West Coast and the lack of Supercoach points distributed to that entire team when they get a good thrashing, which is going to happen on a lot of weeks. So the other ones Luke Jackson at 628 would be great. Even with Darcy in the team, he still seems to be performing. Darcy also seems to be held together with Sean Darcy. We're talking about is held together with sticky tape and can go down at any time. So he is also a valid option. Now, I think here the interesting ones are Jack Macrae. These are the three that I don't have in my team that I'm looking at. Jack Macrae, the Horny Man, Jason Horne-Francis, and Sam Darcy. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking at those three. Some of you who are a lot smarter than I am kept Macrae and or Jason Horne-Francis. And so you're in that great position where you don't need to get them back in. Macrae's been a little bit up and down, but he's still playing that inside midfielder there at St Kilda. So he hasn't, a chance to get a big score. I believe at halftime he was going along all right last week. So he just didn't quite manage to get up there to the 100. But that might be good for us. It might keep his break even down. 124. So I think both him and the Horny Man, we got 136 this week. We waited till we put out this video until we saw the injury list. He is not listed. Apparently at the end of last week he had a bit of a stinger in the shoulder, is what they said, whatever that is. Sounds like a big wasp came and landed on him. But so I think if he's named, he is my favourite out of the three. That's just a personal opinion that I like the style of his game, and he seems to be, dangerous. He seems to be able to kick goals. I don't know if Macrae is such a goal kicker. So I really like the Horny Man at a break even of 131. If he gets 100, he'll go down about 15k. So if you wanted to wait, you could, but it's only 15k. So, it's not the world. It's not like he's going to go down 40k or 50k. So at best, you probably pick him up for 175-ish, if you're lucky. And if he comes out and gets a 115, 20 or something next week, well then he's going to hardly go down anything at all. And the last one that most people are talking about is the Bulldogs man. Let's see if we can find him. Sam Darcy. Break even 147, so you don't have to go there this week. Had a really good few weeks and had a really good season. Now, me personally, I never like to go a half forward or a key forward as a player in Supercoach. Not because they can't score big, they can score some of the biggest scores that we've ever seen in Supercoach. The problem is they're just a little bit inconsistent. So if we look at how he's done this year, he's got a 70, a 117, a 125, a 140, 87, 16, 100. So these 87 and 76 is probably where he's only kicked one or less goals. I know he kicked 3 goals last week, 3 goals, 2 I believe, to get his 108. So he has to kick goals to get a good score. You probably expect 2 goals or more to get over 100. Now, he's a quality player, and he can easily do that. And he's a player which I believe can come out and still smash 6 or 7 goals in a game. By the way he plays, it is very doable. And on those days, he's going to get a massive score. But I just can't rely on him to do it every single week. So if you don't mind that little bit of a roller coaster ride of occasionally getting a 60 or a 70 or an 80, which, let's face it, the Macraes and the Horne-Francis of the world have been kind of giving us anyway. I'd say he's a very, very valid option. Plus, he's cheaper than the other two. He's only at 460s at the moment, and I believe he's got a break even of 147. So if you wanted to wait one more week and he comes out and scores 100, you might get him at 20k cheaper. So at 440, I'm thinking that he's starting to get closer to that mid-price option. At 460, I still think he's up toward the primo, but he's right on that border of, if he was below 450, I'd probably be calling him a mid-pricer, and above 450, I'm probably calling him a potential primo. But with what we've got available in the forward line at the moment, he's a very valid pick, especially if you're looking to save a bit of money and spend that somewhere else in another line. And like I said, he could get a 200 score, but then the very next week after, he could get you 75. So you just need to be prepared for that. If you're going to go on overall average for the rest of the season, I think he's a great pick. If you're going for you want to win your leagues, maybe he's not the best pick out of the three, just because, that week where he drops to 75, you might lose your league. So I think that is all for the upgrades and the downgrades. What am I going to do in my team? So we'll quickly go and show you what my plans are now for my team. Please leave a comment down below if I've missed anybody, or if you guys are thinking of anybody else that I haven't talked about. I would love to hear who you're thinking about. So here we go. Classic. We'll go and do my actual trades. Have I already done them? All right. So this is who I'm thinking of this week. I'm going to drop Ashcroft. He lost me about 20k last week. So we're going to get rid of Ashcroft and we're going to get in Callum Mills. Pretty much a straight swap with a bit of DPP action. I can get Callum Mills playing. I am kind of low on trades and I'm low on money. So we went a value option last week, which didn't really work out for us, but I still think it could be okay. And so this week we'll go to Mills. And then I think I had a little bit of cash in the bank, about 280k, which means I can afford to go from Kako to the Horny Man. Like I said, I think Horny Man, McRae, and Darcy are my three options for the week. And Horny Man and McRae are about the same. And Sam Darcy's a little bit cheaper. So that makes my team look a little bit like this. Coming out of the buys, so it kind of completes my team to a point. So coming out of the buys, my team will look like Dale, Whitfield, Nasai, Wanganeen, Malira, Zorko, Roberts, and Callum Mills. In the midfield, we've got Sinclair, Brayshaw, Bont, Rao, Dacos, Sheasel, Cadwell. Doherty is the cheapo option I got in last week. He only got a 69, but the conditions weren't great and the ball didn't really visit the back half for Carlton because they were destroying the Eagles for the first half. So I think he could get back to that 100 type score under slightly better conditions and a tighter game. So I'm not terrified with the pick yet, but it hasn't paid out for me yet. So if you're going to go one of these other mid prices like a Prestia or a Mills this week, just expect that this could happen. Where I got the 69 this week, I wouldn't be surprised if Callum Mills comes out and does the same thing this week. So they aren't risky picks. They are risky picks. At this time of the year, like we said, if you can afford, if you have the trades and the money, get primo. You want to be getting primos into your team. You don't want to be going with these mid prices. Unfortunately, Shauno is a poor man and he can't afford the primos. Like if I could afford to be getting a Max Holmes here, or a Connor Rosie here, I'd be doing that 100%. Last week we had a chance, we were thinking about McKercher, and at the last minute we changed our mind to go Nasai, Wanganeen, Malira, and that was a good choice. Like McKercher got 60 something, Malira got 119, and yeah, looked much better. He looked really good. So Dacos, Sheasel, Cadwell, Doherty. Cadwell's been doing very great since he's another cheapo option that paid off for us. Sometimes these cheapo options pay off. Sometimes they don't. So that's what we're just saying with the Mills and Prestia. Understand if you go there, but don't be, if you have got the trades not to go there and the money not to go there. Sorry, if you got the money not to go there, go up to a primo. If you got lots of trades, you can take that risk. Sherry Gawn, I don't think I'm going to be doing the drop Gawn and make extra money. And then Smith, Petrarca, Horn Francis, Warner, Daniel, and Rankinine are my forwards, and a rookie on the bench. And hopefully this rookie in 2 weeks' time will turn out to be McCarthy, who hopefully averages around we'll say 80. If McCarthy comes in as a 99k rookie and averages around 80, that will be fantastic. But anywhere between 70 and 100 for his price will also be fantastic. So hopefully he'll be on the bench there. So I will say that I have a completed primo team. Am I happy with this team? No, not really. I would love, instead of Doherty, be having like Butters here. We faded Butters. We can't afford him. My plans for the future, Next week we'll pick up McCarthy, even though he's not on his bubble next week after he's had a bye. I'll still pick him up for a Clark or a Johnson, I would say, whoever's earned the most money. They would have had their buys already, and that's going to give me about 100k in the bank. And then we're just going to have to sit on this team. That will also give me 5 trades left. We'll get 6 now. Once we get in Tom McCarthy from the Eagles, we'll have 5 left, and we'll just have to not trade until we get to basically the last 5 weeks of the season. So coming out of the buys, there is 8 rounds. Rounds 17 to 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, to 2 to 3, 24. 8 rounds. So 5 trades for 8 rounds. We'll wait till we get 5 for 5 before we try and trade again. And that will leave us 1 trade per round. We'll have 100k in the bank. That 100k could always be made to put on the top of a Roberts or a Doherty. At the moment, they'd probably be the 2 to move up to someone like a Zach Butters or something coming into the league finals at the end of the year. Or whoever else maybe is a good deal. Maybe there's a primo midfielder that's gone down a price that I can pick up for a direct swap. And then we will see whether we can afford to do maybe a couple of trade downs and maybe a trade up in the flex position. If we're lucky, maybe Tom McCarthy is just holding it down there with an 80 every week. I think that's wishful thinking, but at this time of the year, Shauno is so desperate for money and trades, he has to hope. He has to hope and pray that that's what's going to happen. So very quickly, for captain choices this week, I think... let's just stretch this out a little bit so I can see. Early on, Fremantle versus Essendon. So definitely you could go Brayshaw. If you've got him, you maybe could do a cheeky vice captain on a Jackson. From Essendon, I mean, you could try Merritt, but I think that's risky. He hasn't been on the best form lately. On Friday, you got Geelong and Brisbane. So you could definitely look at a Holmes or a Bailey Smith as your vice captain. And you could definitely, from Brisbane, you could try any of the boys from Brisbane, your Neils, your Dunkleys, your, who else? We've got Zorko, if you think he's going to perform. All of those guys are valid. And then who else? On Saturday morning, you got Carlton and North. So you could do like I'm pretty sure that myself, I'm going to do Brayshaw into Sherry because Gawn's not playing. So I think if you've got Sherry, you want him to be either your vice or your captain. If you can make him your vice captain and go into somebody else, you could always do something like a vice captain into a Dacos or a Whitfield. Who else? Maybe a Sinclair. If you've got some of these big Gold Coast guys like Rowell or Anderson, I'd prefer to do that myself. Make Sherry your first choice as vice captain, and then if he doesn't work out, go one of the others. It means you're not going to be in this position like I probably will, where if Brayshaw gets a 130, I'm not going to know what to do, whether to take it or not. But I think if you've got him, if you don't have him, then yeah, maybe one of those midfielders we mentioned into, maybe, I don't know if I would trust Bont the way he's been performing the last couple of weeks to be your captain. And Dale, he's a bit of a roller coaster ride, so I don't know if I'd make him my captain out of that last game. The GWS and Gold Coast games, I think Noah Anderson is a decent pick. I don't know if I'd risk Rao, but you probably could. And the same for the Collingwood and St Kilda, maybe Dacos or Sinclair would be options for you guys out there in the community. If you guys were thinking of any other options, let me know down in the comments below. Love to hear it when you guys comment and let me know whether I'm completely wrong or right, or give me a new idea. We will be making a few more videos later on in the week. It'll be a live video, so come along and join me live. I think I like making these the review and the trade time videos, but what I like mostly is the live videos where I get to chat to you guys live. More than happy to bring your team up on the screen and go through it with you, try and help you out, or just ooh and ah at how your team is much more better than my team. If you want to know when I'm going live, hit that notification button because that'll tell you. And if you're still watching the video, well, you might as well hit the like button. And don't forget about us trying to get to those 300 subscribers. So if you could help me out by that, by hitting that subscribe button. That would help out a lot too. I really, really like doing this video for you, and hopefully I'll talk to you all again soon. Have a great week, and I'll see you then. Take it away, Skip.